say, God bless our troops, God bless America, and gentlemen, start your engine!
Hello and welcome to the Daytona International Speedway here tonight with the QSR Simulations Season 2 race number 1 in the Gen 4 machines. Kicking things off at the World Center of Racing. Thank you for joining us here on V-Speed. My name is Adam Baker and I will be bringing you tonight's broadcast. We do want to welcome you here to the channel. Make sure to like, share, subscribe if you enjoy the broadcast, and always cheer on your favorite driver. Let us know you're out there and who you're rooting for here tonight. From Daytona, we'll go to the racetrack as drivers are already pacing around here. And let's take a look at the starting grid for tonight's race. Jeremy Burnz going to be the pole sitter here tonight. These drivers in the Gen 4 machines with a 48.521 going to take the top spot on the charts. Austin Dowdy going to roll off from the second position. Rolling off from third tonight, Patrick Hernandez. Mitchell Kostner going to start from the fourth spot. Starting in fifth, it's Kendrick Hom. Starting in sixth, Owen Vanoy going to be rolling off from that third row. Matthew Huggins, seventh. Eighth, Brent Allen. Ninth, Spencer Johnson. Zach White going to round out the top 10. 11th is Chris Nail. 12th, Wyatt Walker. 13th, Bryson Witherspoon. Quentin Stewart going to start from the 14th position. Joseph Terciano going to start from 15th. Ronnie Joyner in 16th. 17th, Dirk Likes. 18th, Derek McMurtry. 19th, Frank Walsh. 20th, Mike Petrin. 21st this evening going to be Ethan Wisnowski. 22nd, Christian Ruckreigel. And Peter Hopp going to round out the field of drivers. 23 here tonight. Green flag in the air from Daytona. We're off and away for the season opener. As the field works to get up to speed here on lap number 1, it will take nearly the whole lap to get up to cruising altitude, essentially. These guys hitting about 190 miles an hour down into turn number 3. They'll pick it up just a little bit more from that. 97 machine of Jeremy Burnz leading the way out of turn number 4, side by side for third place now as the 94 machine catches the wall. That's Owen Vanoy. We got a few cars running similar paint schemes here tonight. The oh-so-classic Mac tonight. Bill Elliott style scheme being run by both Austin Dowdy and Owen Vanoy. And lots of really great looking race cars out here this evening as lap 1 in the books. 85 laps tonight, 4 sets of tires. They're running full fuel loads, and we have 2 overtime attempts in tonight's race. We'll take a look at the weather as well. 93-degree track temp, as this is the classic Daytona as well. A little bit bumpy, can be tricky as the tires start to wear out, especially in cars like these Gen 4 machines. Side-by-side battle for the race lead. 94 of Owen Vanoy to the top of the racetrack. Jeremy Burnz down low. All these drivers doing a great job navigating the bumps in turns 3 and 4. It's going to be a change for the lead, though, as Vanoy heads to the top spot. He'll lead across the stripe. And still side by side amongst the top 10, and a little bit more single filed out further back in the field. And nose to tail, those top two, you can really work well together if you get hooked up nose to tail. And these cars with their kind of wedge-shaped noses, it can be a little bit tricky to align yourself with the car in front. But if you can properly get hooked up, you can really make some good speed at the Daytona International Speedway. Cars over 195 miles an hour in the mid-pack here using that draft. The 48 of Chris Nail, second car in the top row. The old school Jimmy Johnson Power of Pride paint scheme, one of my personal favorites. We'll ride on board with him as he tries to track down the race leader. As positions change hand pretty frequently here. It looks like Patrick Hernandez dropped down a few positions, though he'll fall to the 9th spot. Currently the fourth car in the inside line. You'll see the 83 machine of Joseph Terciano going to drop down in the position behind him. The 22 of Bryson Witherspoon up there on the top with a little bit of space both front and back. But at the front, Vanoy trying to get the lead at the line. Believe he did capture that one. The 13 of Brent Allen now leads the charge on the top row. It's always fun to see guys run this classic Daytona racetrack with all the bumps. It is so much more of a challenge than the newer Daytona racetrack. And then these cars a little bit less advanced, a little bit less aerodynamically dependent than the newer next gen or you know, following models to this Gen 4 car. That these are really just mechanical grip. And there's the 94 jumping up to block the top line. Bottom line gets a little broken up, but here comes the 97 of Jeremy Burnz, going to try and charge back down low. Not going to get there at the stripe. It'll be Vanoy once again, as this whole field just separated by about 3 seconds, other than Matthew Huggins back in 22nd position. Has lost the draft in about 15 seconds off the lead pack. And good racing so far here, already 6 laps through, and we've got 100% fuel load. That means we should be getting close to about 40 laps of fuel, maybe a little bit less than that here at Daytona, this 2.5-mile racetrack. And just to recap, this is race 1 of the season. 212.5 miles and 85 laps here at the Daytona International Speedway. And going good so far in this one. And a big bobble there. That was, I believe, the 12 of Spencer Johnson up in the outside lane. Or no, that was actually Terciano. Still getting used to some of these names here. But everybody doing a fantastic job. This is not an easy place to run side by side for as long as they have. And that is a good sign for the way that things should go here tonight. Christian Rick-Reigel in the number 33 DeWalt. The Matt Kenseth paint scheme running just outside the top 10, just catching up to the lead group of race cars. Bringing Wyatt Walker as well. Mitchell Costner and Zach White side by side back here. It looks like the 31 going to give way for the moment. Going to stick to that top side. Here comes the 84 of Derek McMurtry. And then Ronnie Joyner in the Pontiac. Back here, 17th. Dirk Likes in 18th. The Mr. Peanut Machine of Mike Petrin. Planter's car there. And then the classic Bell South. Really iconic scheme. Peter Hopp right there in the Scott's car. The Carl Edwards-esque machine here, as still battling at the top spot here. It's Brent Allen and Owen Vanoy. And it looks like the 48 of Chris Nail trying to find some way around, but still second car in the top row. No changing of the guard up at the front here. 24 of Quentin Stewart has started to charge up through, gets to the back of Kendrick Horn. And a big bobble down into the corner. That is the trickiest spot on this track as the runs progress. You'll see cars really start to struggle. And right there, you see a car up in the wall. That is Bryson Witherspoon, who was actually the car earlier, had a big bobble. So obviously struggling a little bit in the outside lane, but able to collect his car and see if you can drop into line here or get connected with the pack again. 10 laps already completed. The lap time's around 46 seconds. And we've got just 8 cars now side by side. They are starting to single file out a little bit each and every lap. And that is the fastest way around. It's also the safest way around, but not necessarily the most fun. It is really exciting to run side by side as much as you can here at Daytona. Personally, I was always one that if there was an opportunity to run up on the top side of the racetrack, maybe even lead that top row, that was where I wanted to be. I think it's just the most exciting place to be. As long as you can run safely and keep a steady line up there, it can be really fast and really fun. And the top 4, they're committed to that strategy at the moment. Everybody doing a nice job. Still side by side amongst the top 8. The 12 of Spencer Johnson, the next car down here in the bottom lane, in all by himself, looking at the back of the Jackson Hewitt machine, as well as the butt kicker number 24 of Quentin Stewart. As the field works through turns 1 and 2, working lap number 12. Still a long ways yet to go in this one. You've got to survive to the end. That's what it's all about here at Daytona. We've got fans in the chat cheering on Jeremy Burnz, who's running up in the 4th position, that 97 car, the also iconic Irwin Tools machine, the Kurt Busch paint scheme. Also has Sharpie on that car. Really was an amazing era for NASCAR in terms of the branding, the marketing, and just everything. The action was so great week in and week out. You saw just hard racing. These guys really had to wheel these race cars, and that is the case again here tonight. Perfect simulation of what they did in the early 2000s. As we have had a separation in the second pack, they have fallen off quite a bit. Derek McMurtry, the 84, leading this group. Ronnie Joyner, Derek Likes, Mike Petrin, Frank Walsh, and Peter Hopp, all in this single file line that are about 4.5 seconds off the race lead, and about 2.5 seconds behind Michael Costner, who's now lost touch with the lead group as well. That's not a good place to be. And I just noticed the paint scheme says tired, not tied, and I can agree there with Costner that he's a little bit tired. But it is Thursday and coming up on Good Friday tomorrow, so everybody Good Friday and Happy Easter. Enjoy the weekend. After the race tonight, it is still nose to tail up here in the top 10. And we're back up to 5 or 6 cars running in the outside groove. Things going swimmingly, as you would say, up here. And we are back to about 12 or 13 cars nose to tail, side by side, almost 3 wide as the 48 of Chris Nail look down the middle row. That is a tricky thing to do, but might come down to that later in the race. Looking so good so far. No real changing of the guard again. It's been pretty steady up here. The 85 Wyatt Walker, a little bobble right there. Been able to get that car collected. Still struggling a little bit to maintain the line. I think maybe feeling the bumps a little bit more than some of these other cars. I'm not entirely sure. It is hard to run behind somebody. You have to check up a little bit. You got to be concerned, and then you're not really paying attention to the bumps. You're paying attention to the cars in front of you. You're right on board with the 85. You can see just how rough it is on that side of the racetrack. Brent Allen continuing to show the way, the 94 and the 13 side by side. Getting a little bit more spaced out once again. You'll see these guys start to sync up at different points throughout this race. You got to make friends, and nobody's really made any enemies. We've seen very clean, organized racing to this point. Don't expect anything crazy to happen. You know, not a huge field for Daytona, but still a good-sized field. And if they get to 3 wide racing, that's when we'll start to see some chaos ensue. But at the moment, these side by side, they've got plenty of room, being very respectful. 85 goes on to the apron, though, still struggling to stay in behind the machine in front, the 33, Christian Ruckreigel. But yeah, nobody's really been able to make too many passes. It was just very early on. We saw a few of these cars up in the top 5 swap hands, and really it stayed steady for about the last 10 laps here. And again, we do want to thank you for joining us here on V-Speed. This is the season opening race from Daytona and the QSR Simulations Chase for the Cup. And we have got a lot of races for you here on V-Speed throughout the week. Make sure to tune in each and every night. Looking forward to more great racing from these guys throughout their season. Taking a look at the schedule for the year and where we're going in the next few weeks with these guys. Looks like Atlanta is next, and then we go to Auto Club, and then Sonoma, Las Vegas, Kansas, Charlotte, Talladega. A lot of really good racetracks there in the opening sequence of this season. We go to the Rock, Indy, Darlington, Dover, Richmond, Charlotte, and then a charity event on July 4th. Homestead for the season finale. That is going to be a really nice season. A lot of amazing racetracks. As we've got a car dropping through the pack here. That was Matthew Huggins, the lap machine. Have lost the draft early on and has lost a lap now. Just staying out of the way on the apron to not cause trouble. Way off the pace. Going to lose the draft once again, though. So that is going to be costly, as 17 looks like, or the 18 on the scoring chart actually looks like he'll be bringing it down pit road. So that is Huggins possibly going to go 2 laps down. We are getting really close up here. Chris Nail has lost that second position in the row. Looks like the 94 of Owen Vanoy, who led a few laps early on, has jumped to the top, led 12 laps actually, and is now battling with the 97 of Jeremy Owens, who started on the pole and led 2 laps of this race. So the 2 biggest leaders, I think, so far in this one, battling for that top spot. But it looks like Burnz going to take the advantage out of turn number 4, running that low line a little bit more synced up. Chris Nail starting to fade a little bit off the back bumper of the 13 of Brent Allen. Working through turns 1 and 2 now onto the backstretch. Really close racing. Look at the 8 of Austin Dowdy, not quite lined up. And that's got to be something you're concerned about here at this racetrack. If you don't give those bump drafts just perfectly, you can really turn a car very easily in front of you. And that can be very costly. It's hard to miss a car spinning directly in front of you when you're hitting 195 miles an hour and got other cars around. But look at that second group of cars. They have caught back up. Very impressive for them to close back in. Obviously going to be burning a lot of fuel in that number 84. That could be a point of concern at some point in this race. The guy who's leading this race is going to be burning more fuel than the cars behind, who can maybe take it a little easier. Field streaking on by down into turn number 3. Once again, the 94 of Vanoy as the 8 drifts way up the track. That's Austin Dowdy. Maybe just hit a bump the wrong way, but shot way up nearly into the side of Chris Nail. As we're about a quarter of the way through the action here at Daytona, it has been clean and green. No cautions, but 11 lead changes already in this race. Brent Allen taking the advantage into turn number 1 with the push from Chris Nail, who's now resumed that second car position in the outside lane. And there's 4 cars closely tied together on the top row. One more just behind them. That's Wyatt Walker. And then the bottom row has kind of the same situation, about 4 cars. Nose to tail, here goes Brent Allen now going to drop to the inside. That leaves Chris Nail leading the top row. Going to get a good run into turn number 3. We'll see if the 13 able to jump back up in the line and block the run, because they will have the momentum coming out of the corner. And here comes Nail, going to pull alongside at the start finish line. Not going to lead the lap, but with the momentum and help from the 24 of Quentin Stewart. That will push Chris Nail to the point for the moment. Pretty well synced up. Those top 4 cars in the outside lane. Did a really nice job pushing the 48 to the point. And here goes the 13 with a little advantage in the center of the corner. These cars just swerving all over, though. The 94 of Owen Van Noy having a hard time keeping it down there. Drifts up, a little side draft maybe put on the 48. To slow him off the corners, really close. Coming back to the stripe with 13 of Allen still going to lead the way. And that group further back maybe has lost a little bit of its speed once again. They're starting to lose touch. These guys have picked up the pace at the front. Still running 46 fours. About a tenth of a second slower at the head of the rear group. And they have definitely lost some ground. Costner has not really lost as much as I thought he might. He's been able to get closer as maybe the front group checked up a little bit. All that running side by side will slow you down eventually. And you can tell drivers starting to struggle with a little brush on the wall there. I believe that was Bryce Witherspoon catching the wall. And the 85 of Wyatt Walker still bobbling a little bit around this racetrack, having a hard time. Chris Nail out in front. I think we may have lost someone for a second. Let's take a look. No, just took one of the cars from the top row. That's the 24 of Quentin Stewart dropped to the inside, and that is what changed up here at the front. As we were looking further back, that is what occurred. The 24 of Quentin Stewart drops to the inside, leading the way. Started 14th, big mover in this race. With he and Christian Reigel up 13 positions, and Quentin going to lead a lap here at the start-finish line. Chris Nail has led one as well, running in the top spot, headed into turn 1. Those are your 2 cars battling for the lead. Hope you are all enjoying the broadcast. This race is absolutely flying by. We've had no cautions, and we've had a bunch of lead changes. It's been interesting at the front since the get-go. They've been side by side since lap 1, and I think this is about the fewest cars we've seen side by side, and that's only about 6. Everybody else single filed out for the moment. Maybe a little bit of a battle further back. That is the 33 of Christian Reigel and the 91 of Patrick Hernandez, as now we get more cars back side by side. The battle for the lead is Nail and Stewart now leading the inside. 24 almost able to clear the 25 of Kendrick Horn. Look at the windshield already getting dirtied up here even though the 48's at the front, still seeing a lot of rubber and debris as, oh, little contact with the wall from the 97 of Jeremy Burnz. Has to check up Christian Ruckreigel in the 33 behind him. Has to slow up a little bit there, and that is going to allow the second pack of race cars to maybe close in a little bit more. But they are pretty spaced out further back. Still surprising they had closed up all the way, and I'm really not sure what the strategy call is at the moment. Maybe just trying to maintain their distance in case something happens, but you don't want to get too far back, and they were verging on disaster by falling very far back originally, but they've done a really nice job to stay just about 3 seconds off the leader. And that is a pretty safe distance, but you don't want to get into trouble on pit road, because that is where you start to run into big problems and losing the main pack. And we're going to tick over here to lap number 30, I believe, as the field blinking out there for a second. And everything going smoothly. Still up here in the top 15, but they are really dicing it up in this lead pack. Hendrik Horn trying to take the lead away, this time in turns 3 and 4. Going to be a good run off the corner, but the 22 of Bryce Witherspoon has been struggling out of the corners. You can see that car really drifts up, and even right now giving a push through the tri-oval in the Beatman's number 22. That is very risky. Tough to push people, especially when the tires are starting to wear more and more every lap. You'll see these cars start to struggle off the corner a little bit more each and every lap. 83 of Joseph Terciano in 12th position, leading a kind of a small group of 3 cars as they now catch up to the lead pack. The 8 car of Austin Dowdy drops to the inside lane. We'll probably start to see pit stops, I would think, in the next 5 or 6 laps. Not appear that anyone has brought it in other than Matthew Huggins originally, who started, I think, maybe from the pit lane and brought it in and has taken it behind the wall. Still 21 cars on the racetrack out of the 22 starters. That is good to see here as we are getting closer and closer to halfway. It's been just flying by. And yeah, Doas Khan 3973 in chat. Definitely always a possibility. The commentator Kurtz has said there's been no cautions, and could very well be one at any point in time. Could be when we are starting to see guys bring it to pit lane as well. Nobody is electing to bring it down this time. We've got 4 sets of tires. It's not really the biggest concern when you're at Daytona, but these cars and this version of the racetrack will definitely eat up your tires. So I'm sure we'll see as they take a full fuel load during the first pit cycle. They're also going to put tires on it, especially if we get a yellow before a green flag pit cycle. Everybody is definitely going to put Goodyear rubber on. It is getting a bit more scattered and broken up at the front of the field. Don't see anybody bringing it in yet. Everybody's still cruising along at 195 miles an hour in this lead group of 8 cars. They've swapped positions, but they've been all the same cars for the most part. 24, your biggest mover up there, Bryce Witherspoon, actually, as much as he has struggled up there in the top lane at points in this race, is doing a fantastic job, has now pushed Hendrik Horn to the lead and is up 11 positions in this race. Christian Ruckreigel still one of the biggest movers, 12 positions up. It's not led any laps yet, but inside the top 10 as we've got cars brushing the wall. That was the 94 of Owen Vanoy, who slowed up. That has allowed the 13 of Brent Allen to temporarily peak 3 wide, but thinks better of it. And Vanoy, who's led 13 laps, back into 4th position. the 8 of Austin Dowdy in the same paint scheme. I thought he had led some laps, but that is apparently not the case. Just ran up there towards the front for a while, falling back to the 10th position. And a nice way to open the season for these guys. A really good, clean run, 35 laps so far. And we are still at 4 cars side by side, make that now 6, as the 13 and the 85 do battle, but it looks like 85 going to maintain third on the bottom row. The 13 drops in below, and we've got racing further behind the 24 and the 33. Quentin Stewart went from the lead just a few laps ago. Led a lap and fell back quite a ways. But trying to catch back up here. Only the 3rd car in the top row. Not like you lost a ton of ground, but just lost some time and some distance more than anything. And everybody trying to get closer and closer here. We are going to be closing in on the pit cycle at any moment. Field working off turn number 4. Still no takers this time, but you see the 85 maybe peeking down. We'll probably get the hands out the window here pretty soon to show I'm coming this time. Kendrick Horn leading the way. You know what? I think I've been saying Horn, but it's home or Hom. I'm not exactly sure. Kendrick Hom, I'm gonna go with. Sorry to butcher that all race long so far, but I'll get it from here on out. Chris Nail leading the way now with the 94 of Owen Vanoy behind. Clean and green. The 37 laps, big blink there from the 94. Still no takers to pit road. Saw a couple guys get to the bottom lane, and looks like we're starting to shift that way. Almost everyone down on the inside row. The 31 of Costner has been running the outside religiously in this race, even to his own demise, sort of. Has lost a lot of ground by running up there with no draft. We've got a car well down on the racetrack again. That's Matthew Huggins, who's going to go now 14 laps down. Not exactly sure. Maybe just trying to get some practice out here with these guys. And this will be a better opportunity to slot in the line, but again, well off the lead lap. And probably just going to be hoping that somebody gets involved in something to get any positions back, because the way we're going, there's been no cautions. 25 of Kendrick Home. Lead that lap. Chris Nail charging alongside, and cars starting to slide down into the corner. This is where we'll start to see chaos, and when these guys may decide it's time to bring it in. But it's looking like we're going to make it to halfway, so it may just be a one-stop race. Oh, big move from the 85 of Wyatt Walker to go from top to the bottom. On board here with Wyatt. Is everyone here doing a nice job still of keeping their cars off of the cars around. It can be really tough with this version of the track, and you can see even just getting through the tri-oval is getting more and more difficult. They've only got to go a couple more laps on these tires. Racing down the backstretch. Speeds have picked up a little bit. The race leader, Kendrick Home, now hitting 200 miles an hour. Those were the fastest speeds we've seen all race. We're getting pretty close to the fastest lap times of the race. And 22 of Bryson Witherspoon taking a peek out, maybe trying to get a little bit of fresh air. That is another concern when you're at Daytona, that you could overheat. These guys have maintained pretty good distance, not a lot of bumper-to-bumper contact. But even just being where the 94 is, for example, you can overheat your race car if you stay behind for just a little bit too long. That can lead to the engine, blowing just in the middle of the pack. But I think these guys are well aware of that. They've done a really nice job of keeping that distance, like I said. it'll be close to halfway coming to the start-finish line this time. You'll see some guys maybe go an extra lap or two, but we're going to have our groups of drivers teamed up together, committing to coming to pit road at the same time. So there's only 3 cars in the outside groove, everybody else down on the bottom. They're all in a good spot. You can't really get to pit road from the top, so those 3 are going to have to slot in the line or wait for the inside lane to pit, and then they'll bring it in the next time. Big push here from the 22 to the 25. Maybe that's the goal, is get the 25 out front so he can drop down. Again, Kendrick Hom getting the nose out in front, but it's Chris Nail surging ahead out of turn 4. No takers to pit road, except here comes Wyatt Walker possibly. Nope, he's going to stay on the track. An eye on anyone else, but it looks like the full field still within the picture here. 21 cars within 3.6 seconds. And nobody has brought it to pit road as we're past the halfway mark, and this has absolutely flown by. It's been 37 minutes since we started the broadcast, but it has been even less time since we've been green flag racing. It's been a few minutes less than that, so that shows you just how quick these guys are going here. And we'll have this race over just after 9 o'clock if they keep things as they are, but really good job, respectful racing. Only a couple of brushes with the wall so far, and nobody even close to really having a crash. As the top 2 nose to tail, it looks like 94 of Vanoy and the 22 of Bryce Witherspoon's still electing to run the top. Here comes the 8 of Austin Dowdy. Big surge on the outside lane. Going to try and get a couple more positions possibly before pit road really opens up for them. But definitely surprised we are able to go this far. That shows you. Yeah, we're going to be good on fuel for the rest of the way once they make that pit stop. Oh, car in the wall though. That is Witherspoon again. Here comes the leaders. Chris Nail bringing them in. And they are going to get in nice and clean. No real issues. And the top 12 have stayed on the racetrack. Nail, the one leading them in. And then it's going to be up to the rest of the pack. But look at this. 3 cars all by themselves. They had a lot of takers that time through. And keeping an eye on pit stops, see if anybody gets any speeding penalties. Ruck Rigel off and away. Everybody looking pretty good so far. Brent Allen had a problem though. He is well behind and could have had issues getting into the box. Here come the leaders, the top 3. There's going to be a few more that stay on the racetrack. Costner, who's been running kind of all by himself, he's going to take over the top spot for the moment. Keeping an eye on Brent Allen, who is still on pit road. Wyatt Walker as well, extended stop. Those cars both on pit road for over a minute now in their boxes for 30 seconds or more. They've definitely got speeding penalties, and they'll be going here in just a few seconds, but nobody else with problems. As your leader, Mike Costner, all by himself in terms of lead lap cars that have yet to bring it in. He has not brought it in. The 18 of Huggins kind of partnering up for the moment, but you'd think Costner would be bringing it in, and here he comes after leading 1 lap. Mitch Costner going to bring it to pit road. Getting it woe down here to about 55 miles an hour, and cruise at about 65 down pit road. Kendrick Hom has taken the lead for the moment of the cars that have pitted. Oh, and we got cars sliding. That's Jeremy Burnz around, able to save it, but that is going to bring out the caution in the middle of the pit cycle, or very, very close to the end of the pit cycle. That's going to help a couple of those cars that had penalties, but we've got many cars off the lead lap. Let's take a look at the replay and what brought out that yellow flag. But Jeremy Burnz, I'm not sure exactly what happened. May have just checked up for a moment, and that's exactly what happened. Gets tagged by the 24 and goes for a big slide, but What a great job hanging on to it. We're going to go on board with Jeremy here and watch the hands work. Possibly. Full lock to the right. Did a nice job hanging on to it. And they actually wrecked further down the racetrack. Was that the 24? No, that was not. That was Joyner involved in that one. So there was a second incident. Oh, as they were all checking up, the 83 got turned around. Joyner involved. The Terciano. I'm trying to see. So they went for a slide there, and then these guys just merged up. And 83. Oh my goodness. That was more of a problem than the original caution. Got turned around and not too much damage. I'm not exactly sure if there's going to be damage for Terciano, but the 00 of Joyner, I think, got a little bit of contact from that, but we'll go back live. Looks like everybody pretty good. Here comes Joyner pulling down. Looks like they'll pull out the right front fender on that car. As we are going to cut to commercial break just after caution number 1. It's Mitchell Costner, who's run mid-pack a lot of this one, kind of running his own race, looking over the top spot with a good pit strategy, catching the caution at the right time. We will be right back. And here comes Milo, big run out of 4. He's going to be there.
Tristan Martin's there. Cannot count out to 37.
Oh!
Cabot,
where did he come from? Here comes Zwack.
A punch from the 33.
It's a drag race.
The Magic Man wins it Auto Club.
Coming up to the line, being chased, and it was Brayden Johnson. Unbelievable finish. It was 1/1000th of a second between them.
Green flag in the air. We are racing in the 2020 24 Hours of Daytona.
They go door to door for the feature race lead here on the last lap of the race. Side by side for the race lead in the final corner at Homestead. Down the back straightaway, 3 wide again for the race lead. This is unbelievable stuff here tonight. The Wilma is going to have to be
very deep on the brakes, and he is very deep on the brakes. It's side by side through the corner. This is for the win.
It'll be side by side. Davies low, Ottinger high. To the very inside is Garrett low. 4 wide at the stripe.
For all he's worth here on this outside line, neck to neck. Who's going to back out? Does anyone back out?
Verstappen starts to squeeze on the inside, and now he'll try and straight line it. Goes under the apron, drag race to the line. It's so close to goal.
Back at the racetrack now. The QSR Simulations season opener from the Daytona International Speedway. We want to welcome you back here to the racetrack. We're working under the yellow flag for our first caution, which involved the 97 of Jeremy Burnz getting turned around, as well as a secondary incident on the backstretch. That was the 83 of Joseph Terciano checking up for other cars merging off of pit road. Ronnie Joyner also got spun out in that incident and collected a little bit of damage in the 0-0. We are down to 16 cars on the lead lap. We had a few get lapped during that sequence with some pit road penalties. A few cars have brought it back down on to pit road during this caution. But just to recap, we're out just one single caution in this race. Really clean and good racing. The pace car still has the lights on. We had a little bit of a scoring issue, I believe. I'm not exactly sure. Mitchell Kostner is your race leader, but we've got cars at the tail end of the lead lap. We had the leaders get waved by the pace car, and things are still being sorted out now. So we've had an extended stop. Stoppage time, sort of, during this caution. Not exactly sure what they're still sorting out, but we'll run through the field very quickly here. So Mitchell Kostner, your race leader. Hunter Combe in second. Third, it's Owen Vanoy. Fourth is Zach White, who's had a good solid run, kind of under the radar in this one. Spencer Johnson running in the top 5. Peter Hopp. A lot of names from the back group of race cars are now up at the front. So Chris Nail, who was leading coming into pit road, is now back in 7th at 7 laps here tonight. Christian Ruckreigel in the 8th position. Patrick Hernandez in 9th. Rounding out the top 10, Jeremy Burnz, who got turned around there in turn 2. Did a really nice job of saving it and ultimately saving his race. Austin Dowdy in 11th. Bryson Witherspoon in 12th. Brent Allen in 13th. Joseph Terciano in 14th. Looks like they're waving by a lot of these lap cars. Dirk Likes in 15th. Quentin Stewart in 16th. Derek McMurtry in 17th. Mike Petrin in 18th. Honey Joyner 19th. Wyatt Walker and Frank Walsh showing as all the cars still on the racetrack, along with Matthew Huggins, who is 13 laps down now. But they are still figuring things out. Pace car lights are still on, so this is a little bit of a confusing situation. I think what may have happened is they waved by the wrong driver, and they're still trying to get that all sorted, and a lot of these lap cars are making their way around. Looks like Mike Petrin still in front of the leaders, should be getting a wave around. Maybe this next time we'll get the rest of these cars waved. That'll be the 24 of Stewart, 84 of McMurtry, and the 60 of Petrin. Then you got Wyatt Walker, Frank Walsh, who will remain one lap down for the moment. A little bit of a slowdown here. Nice little break and breather for these guys as they were running side by side almost the entire first half of the race. And we had good run through the pit stops there, and ultimately just a little issue in turn 2, the very end of the pit cycle, and that's what put Mitchell Costner out in front, who's leading the way. Like they've waved by the cars who are at the tail end of the line. They race their way back around. It should be green flag this next time by. These car lights are off for the moment. Again, we do appreciate you tuning in here to V-Speed. My name is Adam Baker, and I'm your commentator here tonight. Hope you're enjoying the show. This is the season opener from the Daytona International Speedway, the world center of racing. Such an amazing facility. If you've never been, I would suggest going some point in your life. They've got so many great events, of course, with the Daytona 500, the summer race as well, and then you've got the 24 Hours of Daytona, which is kind of a bucket list item for me, and I'm sure many motorsports fans would love to go there and experience 24 hours of racing. That one is just always an exciting race, it seems, as well as the Miata event that they run before that. That's a really entertaining one here at the racetrack. Showed a few commercials there during our caution break. Make sure to check out any of them that you might be interested in. We've got some great sponsors of the channel down below. You can save some money at Butt Kicker by using the code in the video description, as well as using the link there. That really helps us out. You can also save money on your cell phone plan by switching to Visible Wireless. We've got some awesome deals, and you're on the Verizon network, as well as some other great products and services in our video description as sponsors of the channel. We do want to thank you for joining in. Pace car on pit road, green flag back out here, and the 31 of Mitchell Costner. Good restart, as it'll take these guys a while to get back up to speed. Kind of a close call there right at the start with the 25 and the 94, and they are pretty spaced out from everyone behind. Zach White, Spencer Johnson, Peter Hopp, who was, I think, running at the tail end of the field. Finding himself up here inside the top 10. We'll see how all of these guys are able to do, and how about some of these cars at the back of the field now, side by side rather than the leaders, and still trying to get things figured out. The 24, remember Quentin Stewart, he's led some laps here. Gonna have to charge back through, and the 83 of Terciano was in the top 15. Looks like that is the 85 of Wyatt Walker, has quite a bit of damage on that race car. The whole front end is caved in. That's going to be a problem here at Daytona. Aerodynamics so important to get the most out of your race cars. Here we go. 94 of Owen Vanoy. But 14 laps. Trying to work the outside groove. Not able to take the lead as the 25 of Kendrick drops to the bottom. Spencer Johnson, Brent Allen, also side by side. You got the 48 of Chris Nail now charging back through into the top 6, trying to take the top 5 position away from the 77 of Zach White. And this is where things start to get really interesting, right? This is the run to the finish. Can they stay green and clean? The anticipation is going to keep picking up here. Lap by lap, we are closer to the finish, but you really just got to be there within the last 5 or 6 laps. Is the 77 in the wall, running on the outside. The 13 of Brent Allen able to slot down into the inside, but the 77 still in the wall, bouncing off the backstretch wall, hitting it again, maybe breaking the right front suspension. Zach White going from running inside the top 10, still struggling. I think that car is severely damaged at this point. And that right front caved in, and he'll fall well off the pace, well behind the lead pack of race cars. It's Costner and Hom leading the way. Hom at the line. The 25 machine going to take the lap lead, that one. Is back going here. They are definitely a little bit more on edge than they were during the first 40 laps of this race. Kind of picked up right where they left off. Let's take a look at the track temp and see if anything's changed. It's actually cooled down since the start of this race. So you would think that that would play right into their hands, but definitely struggling with the handling in these Gen 4 machines tonight. Bumps are really playing havoc with all of these cars. As the top 12 remain side by side, and it's then the first car is the 54 of Frank Walsh, the Bell South Monte Carlo, but he is a lap down. I'm not sure how that happened, if it might have been a speeding penalty on pit road, but remaining one lap down. Also Wyatt Walker, we mentioned, with the damage, has lost touch with the lead pack, and that is not the place to be here at Daytona. Not really the most enjoyable experience to run around in that way. But how about at the front still? The 31, the 25, Kendrick Hom and Mitchell Costner. And that is as close as it gets at the stripe. It looked like Costner had the lead for a moment. He's led now 11 laps in this race after running about 15th for that whole first half. Cycled out perfectly where he led a lap, brought it to pit road, caution came out. With all that track position that he gained, not having to do a whole lot of anything, just played it safe, and now closing in on 25 laps to go from Daytona for the season opener. And nice and organized still. 2 lanes for much of the top 15. Nobody really trying to do anything too crazy. I think everyone understands in this race that you've got to make it to the end. And you see usually 2 separate strategies where you've got guys racing for it at the front, and you know, they want to be part of the action the whole race long, and then you've got other guys who hang back, you know, outside the top 15 in this case, or even create their own separate pack of cars, and that way you're avoiding the chaos that could happen at any moment when you're running so close together. Right now everything is looking really good and organized, just as they were in the first part of the race. Next week we are going to Atlanta in this series, and then Auto Club and Sonoma. So quite a variety of tracks in the first 4. Some of those really fun. I think this, hopefully it's the vintage Atlanta that is a perfect fit for these cars as well. Auto Club, one of my personal favorites to run on the sim. And it's too bad Auto Club going away in real life. It's already gone, actually. They've already torn it up. That place will be missed. At least we still have Michigan, which runs similarly. And usually puts on a pretty good show as well, as the 25 of Kendrick Hom leads this pack side by side behind him, the 31 and the 94. And here comes the 12 of Spencer Johnson in the Good Wrench Monte Carlo, and a variety of makes and models here tonight. That's the beauty of these Gen 4 car body styles. You can see the 94 of Owen Vanoy in the old Ford Taurus from the 90s. The kind of bug-eye style, bubbly, melty jelly bean Ford Taurus. Very divisive appearance of that car, but made a pretty interesting looking race car. There were some awesome schemes for that. Really loved the early 2000s Taurus with the Monte Carlo, the Pontiac Grand Prix, the Dodge Intrepid. Man, what a what an era for the race cars in NASCAR. So many amazing paint schemes, commercials, marketing, and branding. And you got pieces of that here tonight with the DeWalt machine, the Scott's car, the Irwin tools, the Tide cars. We've got the 3 machine further back of Dirk Lights, who's running 16. Haven't talked too much, but running the Intimidators Good Wrench machine. And having a solid night. No issues to speak of to this point. And that is exactly how you want it here. You want to be in contention at the end. And we'll see if he can get up there and mix it up. Maybe intimidate a few guys on his way to a victory, but currently needs to make up a little bit of ground to do that. But still, lots of time yet to go. It's about 50 miles to the end of this race. We'll get there in about 15 minutes if things stay as they are. But never know here at Daytona. Things happen really, really quickly. And those top 2 still the same as they were early on in this run. No change really behind them. You see the 48 of Chris Nail has moved up a couple of positions since the restart, but not too many other drivers have made up a lot of ground. Let's take a look at the 24 of Quentin Stewart. He has gained a few positions, up to 13th now. That was the driver that got into the back of the 97 of Jeremy Burnz. Neither driver really any worse for wear after that incident. It was kind of a racing deal, as they say, and both drivers able to continue on. 83 of Joseph Turciano, who got, I believe, tagged from behind during that checkup that happened on the backstretch after the caution came out. Still looks pretty good with the Moza Monte Carlo. Well, actually, that's an Impala. And we've got a Camaro out front. That's actually the 31 of Costner in the tired number 31. Very on the nose paint scheme there. That's fun. And 25 of Kendrick Hom, the Beatman's machine, still leading the way on the top groove. It's going to get really interesting if somebody takes it 3 wide. We've only seen it a couple of times in this race. Christian Ruckragel looked like he was maybe going to peek to the middle lane, but I think he's just trying to get clean air on the race car. Nobody being too crazy at this point in time. Patrick Hernandez kind of the caboose of this lead group. I actually got a nice run there through the tri-oval and able to get alongside the 83 of Turciano. And the inside lane's starting to lose a little bit of ground. Not exactly sure what happened there, but everybody looks to be pretty well maxed out in terms of pace. And it just comes down to when drivers are making mistakes. We head down into turn number 3 on board with Chris Nail. With 7 laps here in the 48 machine. Jimmy Johnson Power of Pride throwback scheme. Always some of my favorite paint schemes were those 48 Power of Pride ones. As a Jimmy Johnson fan from a very young kid, I definitely enjoyed the red, white, and blue, and they were always just the 2014, I believe, was the paint scheme that I loved the most of all of those. That was in the late COT, early Gen 6. As wow, big moment right there though. The 8 thought they were going to have an accident. He was able to hang on to it, able to get back up in line, but it was the 8 and the 9, so Austin Dowdy, Peter Hopp, both looked like they were going to get together right behind Chris Nail, and we are still 3 wide. The 33 shuts the door as he jumps up into the top groove. That was a risky move, and here goes the 9 right behind him, Peter Hopp. Or rather, the 91 of Patrick Hernandez. Still getting used to all the numbers and names, but here we go, 3 wide. Ruck Reigel, he was the one who looked like he was going to do it earlier, and he's now elected to do it, but oh, really tight. He's going to slot down into the bottom groove, and look at all the positions he gained, but that's as close as it gets. And Ruck Reigel pushing the issue earlier than anyone, and he's now broken into the top 5, going to give a shove to the 94 of Owen Vanoy, as the 31 of Costner has now lost the lead position in that group. Checked up big time and has fallen in to 7th, as there's contact. That's going to send the 91 around the 31 into the wall. We're wrecking on the backstretch for caution number 2 with just under 15 laps to go. Not what you want to see. You are involved in that one. Let's take a look at, that was the 91 of Patrick Hernandez, who I believe got turned around there. Coming off of the corner. I think it might have been the 8. Made a little bit of contact. Yep. Catches the 31. Big hit for Costner, and then big hit for the 91. Let's see if we can get another view of that. Yep. Pretty big impacts for both those drivers. They're going to be off the pace. Maybe suspension damage as well. Patrick Hernandez and like Mitchell Costner, who led a good chunk of this race and had just lost the top 2 spots a few laps before. Unfortunately collected in that one. We go back live. Still rolling out here. Both those drivers still moving along, but that is caution number 2. We've had 30 lead changes. What a race so far in this one. Your race leader, the 94 of Owen Vanoy in 2nd, Brent Allen 3rd, Bryson Witherspoon in 4th, and Christian Ruck Reigel make up the top 5. We're going to cut to another quick commercial break as these guys get things settled out here. We'll probably be back with just about 10 laps to go. Don't go anywhere. You're definitely going to want to catch this finish.
Coming up to the line, being chased, and it was Brayden Johnson. Unbelievable finish. It was 1/1000th of a second between them.
Green flag in the air. We are racing in the 2020 24 Hours of Daytona.
They go door to door for the feature race lead here on the last lap of the race.
Side by side for the race lead in the final corner at Homestead. Down the back straightaway, 3 wide again for the race lead. This is unbelievable stuff here tonight.
Loma is going to have to be very deep on the brakes, and he is very deep on the brakes. It's side by side for the corner. This is for the win.
It'll be side by side. Davies low, Ottinger high. To the very inside is Garrett low. 4 wide at the stripe.
For all he's worth here on this outside line, neck to neck. Who's going to back out? Does anyone back out? Verstappen starts to squeeze on the inside, and now he'll try and straight line it. Goes under the apron, drag race to the line. It's so close to goal.
Back at the racetrack now, side by side, getting ready to go back green. It'll be 11 laps to go to the end of the race. Who is going to win tonight's race? We'll run through the field very quickly. Some of your top drivers in this one. Endercom has led 28 laps out of the 73 that have been completed. He currently leads coming back to the restart. Owen Vanoy running in second has led 15. Brent Allen third has led 7. Bryson Witherspoon running in fourth. Good run for him so far. Christian Ruck-Rigel, who made that 3-wide move, got up into the top 5. Started back at 22nd, by far the biggest mover in this race. See if he has any shot at getting up there and taking the win. Spencer Johnson running in 6th position. 7th is Austin Dowdy. 8th is Chris Nail. Got shuffled back during all of that with the 3-wide. He's led 7 laps here tonight. Dirk Likes in 9th. Ronnie Joyner in 10th. Mike Petrin in 11th. Derek McMurchie in 12th. Jeremy Burnz in 13th. Quentin Stewart in 14th, I believe. Peter Hopp on the outside there in 15th. Stewart, Joseph Terciano, Mitchell Costner, who was involved in that one. Looks like they cleaned up that car a little bit. Zach White, Patrick Hernandez was also involved. We've got Frank Walsh, Matthew Higgins still running and has been able to take a position away. So great job being persistent and staying on the racetrack. We see the pace car make the hard left turn on the pit road. Green flag back in the air. Good jump for the 25. The 94 are going to jump down low. Not sure if that's allowed here, but that is definitely changing lanes before the start-finish line, as those top 2 have broken out in a way. But wow, what a run as the 94 looks to the inside. Can he take the top spot? Not sure what happened in the 25, if he had a bad shift, but lost a lot of momentum. And here comes the 13 of Brent Allen, the 22 of Bryson Witherspoon, and then Ruck-Rigel and company further back side by side. They had a big head of steam, but it looks like that has slowed as the top 4 have picked up the pace. And it'll be 10 laps to go. Next time across, big hit for Chris Nail off the wall. He's got a little bit of right front damage, I believe. Yeah, that right front fender. I'm seeing some issues with that car. That could be affecting the handling. And here comes Ruck-Rigel. Going to take it 3 wide and low. Coming to the start finish line. Backs out of it. Good call, as that was closing up quickly. And it's still going to be Vanoy and Hom, who have led so much of this race combined. They've led about half the race, if not more. And we are now side by side amongst the entire field till the very back of the pack with some of the lap cars and damaged machines. We got to keep an eye also on those guys involved in the last wreck. So that's the 31 of Costner, who is struggling. You can see down on speed, about 4 miles an hour off pace. And maybe if he can tuck up in the draft, it might be okay, but the suspension damage might be enough as the 25 jumps to the top side, but that might be a mistake. Here comes the 33 of Ruck-Rigel. Huge drive on the bottom, not able to lead the lap. I don't think. Nope, did not get credited with that at the stripe, but now leads the inside groove, and cars in the wall. That is the 12 of Spencer Johnson, able to collect it, and the 00 goes to the middle now. And again, this is crunch time. But you don't want to be hitting your car off the outside wall. You've got to be so careful to not push too hard this early, because look at all the track position he just lost, falling all the way back to the 83 of Terciano. Those drivers 16th and 17th. He's top 2. Doing a great job leading the field. The 48 of Nail back in contention, who was up there pushing the top row for so much of the early portion of this race, now pushes the leader of Christian Ruck-Rigel on the bottom. But Hom able to take the lead back away with a big shove from the 94 of Owen Vanoy. And they're really pushing the issue. He's going to push it into the wall, and that is going to cost the 94 an opportunity to push the 25 any more than that. And here we go, 33 on the bottom. 25 jumps up to throw the block as they have a big run down the backstretch. And Ruck-Rigel with the lead. Down to turns 3 and 4. Laps ticking off here. Not too many left to go. When do you make your move? Who are you going with to the front as well? Are you going to try and force it 3 wide? You've got to be there at the end and have a clean race car to have any shot at winning this thing. Ruck Rigel leading that lap. Tom on the outside has been just a mainstay up here at the front of the field all race long, whether leading or running in the top 2 or 3. That 25 car has been the one to beat. But Ruck Rigel has been the most aggressive, I think, to this point. And Chris Nail, definitely strong all race long, been up in the mix. So really good combination of drivers, I think, leading this field. Anybody can win this race. You can see a driver come from 13th or 14th. They're all nose to tail. It just takes one good push to get you about 4 or 5 spots. It'll be 5 laps to go next time around, and that is when a lot of drivers further back really have to start thinking about making a move. You have to start your run towards the front. At that point, you're going to run out of time. You got to make sure you're in a position that if something does happen, you're able to avoid it. Got to keep your eyes open for every possible bit of contact that could happen in front of you. Just make sure you know who's who and hope you've got your car in the right spot. That is what Daytona is all about. The 33 still leading the inside lane. It's going to be so close at the line. If we stay like this for the remainder of the race, it'll be a drag battle between the 25 and the 33, but good push out of the tri-oval from the 94. And again, nearly 3 wide. We've got a bit of damage on the 8 machine of Austin Dowdy. That whole nose caved in on that Ford Taurus. Ronnie Joyner looked like he was going to take it 3 wide, elected not to, but inside lane getting a little bit broken up, and that's allowing drivers like the 13 to jump to the middle. That is Brent Allen, and we are 3 wide up here at the front of the field. Oh, so close to contact between the 94 and Brent Allen in the 13. And that, you can see how much the momentum shifts just right there. 5 laps to go, coming back to 4 to go. And it's Ruck Rigel out in front with the advantage across the stripe. Things picking up here at Daytona. Still 5 or 6 cars side by side at the front of the field, and then single filed out for portions of the rest of the pack. But those guys, they can't race too hard further back because they've got to push their way forward. They need to team up with somebody. You've got to get nose to tail and really push and try and force your way through, whether that's through the middle or creating a 3rd lane on the outside. There's not a lot of ways around this place. It's just pick a groove and hope that you can build the momentum together. Take the run when you have it. As Hom once again going to lead the lap. He has just been dominant so far in this one. 33 laps led as we are 3 laps to go. Coming down to the final moments here at Daytona in the season opener of the QSR Simulations Racing League. It has been all Kendrick Hom and Christian Ruck Rigel here in this last little run as we've got contact. The 97 goes around. Jeremy Burnz into the wall. Cars up in the air. 24 nearly up and over. And caution is going to fly, sending us to overtime. Take a look at what happened here. The 97 got tagged by the 24, who got tagged by the 3. And look at the 97 and the 24 come together. What a hit. Quentin Stewart goes for a ride. After such a strong opening part of the race for Quentin, he has struggled to get back through the field, but at this point was running just outside the top 10. And wow, nearly flipped it over. I think everybody should be able to continue in this one. Some big hits, though, as we go back live. Guys still catching up, so involved in that one was the 97 of Jeremy Burnz. I think the 83 might have got a piece of it. I can't tell if Peter Hopp did. It looks like that car is clean. 24 definitely involved in that. The 3 of Dirk Likes was also involved. A little bit of left rear damage on that car. Spencer Johnson definitely has some damage on that car. Zach White with some nose damage as well. This is a bit of a break for Patrick Hernandez. Who possibly... Actually, I think he may have been involved in this one too. Wyatt Walker took it behind the wall. Matthew Huggins should get the lucky dog if he wasn't involved in that one. So, going to get another lap back, but not going to matter all that much for him unless we get both of our green-white checkered finishes. We have 2 attempts at overtime. This will be the first one. We are still working under caution. This is the third caution of the race. 36 lead changes. Man, it has been close and really intense at the front of the field all race long. You know, we haven't seen too many instances where somebody's just kind of charged from 4th or 5th to the race lead. It's really just been the top 2 cars stay there for a while, and then something happens, and those guys kind of get cycled out, and then you've got maybe 2 other ones. But Kendrick Hom and Christian Ruckreigel going to be in charge of the lanes on this next restart. I don't think there's any concern about fuel, but if we get both of these overtimes, it could come into play. We pitted around lap 45, 46 for some of these drivers. People pitted a little bit more recently than that, and all these guys who are either involved or pit during the caution about 12 laps ago, those guys are definitely good on fuel if they put any of it in their car at all. But amongst the top 10, I think there's only about 3 guys that you could say are totally good on fuel, so some of these drivers will be saving under caution here. Forged Ironworks number 25 leading the way. Again, under yellow flag from Daytona. We will be right back for a quick commercial break. Back at the racetrack, only 3 laps to go. Showing up on the screen, we are in our first overtime attempt here in the QSR Simulations Racing League season opener. The QSR Chase for the Cup. 85 laps, the scheduled distance. We've now already completed that. So if things had finished as they were at the end of lap 85, it would have been Kendrick Hom. But we get to go 2 attempts at overtime from Daytona tonight, and it could be any of these drivers taking home the victory in the season opener. And surviving Daytona, always an admirable feat, but to take the victory, that's another level. That is pretty tricky to do, especially in these Gen 4 machines at the classic Daytona with all the bumps and cracks and surface imperfections that you get from an aged racetrack. We're about to go green once again. It's Kendrick Hom, Christian Ruckreigel, your top 2, and in control of these lanes as we are about to get going here. Pace car in to the pit lane. 25 gets him rolling. Maybe a little spin of the tires there. Green flag is back, out and away. First attempt at overtime from Daytona. Who is going to take the win in the season opener? It's the top 2. Jumping out in front, 25 of Kendrick Hom, 94 of Owen Vanoy. The 33 of Christian Ruckreigel, not a lot of help. He's going to slot into 3rd. 48 of Chris Nail. I think he's got that right front damage. Here we go. Driver's going to start making moves. 94 of Vanoy jumps to the outside. 25 can't throw the block. We're still getting up to speed and a long ways yet to go. Another 3.5 miles as they're rubbing doors. Further back, 33 and the 48 getting pushed down onto the apron. Gonna make some contact. There's this 33 goes around. Huge hit. And Chris Nail involved in it as well. 48 and the 33 slammed the wall. And I think we may have had a secondary incident further down the road, but that is not what you'd want to see happen as we take a look. They were 3 wide, and that doesn't work out here very well if you're pushing off the other car's door going down into the corner. Let's go to another view of that. It looks like, yeah, 48 kind of just shoved the 33 down. I'm not sure they just got stuck together, but then they hook into the corner. That also collects the 22 of Witherspoon, who had run a really nice race to this point and is going to have a little bit of right rear damage, but big hits for both the 33 and the 48 as they got stuck to the outside wall. And I think that is effectively both their races over. Even as 33 tried to get rolling again, 48 ended up making contact with him. So we go back live to the racetrack, caution number 4, and this will be our last attempt at overtime. They're gonna have to make it back to the white flag for anything to be official. And hopefully we get a nice green flag run to the finish. I know these guys can do it. They ran 45 laps under green to start the race. They can definitely run a couple here, as it looks like 22 of Witherspoon going to bring it in. Might have some suspension damage on that car and a little bit of right front damage. So going to elect to drop out of the top 10 here to get that damage fixed. And quite a few other cars, I think, with damage from the previous accident, going to continue to get the fenders pulled a little bit and just put their cars in the best shape to go for this last overtime attempt. I don't think we are done with the accidents in this one, but hopefully it's after the white flag and these guys are able to race it back. Owen Vanoy's led 18 laps and actually able to get the lead away during all of that. So now the 25 not going to be in control, and he's been so good at controlling the restarts and controlling the field, leading 37 of the laps here tonight. And again, we're going to be pushing the fuel distance for these drivers. We're going to, right now it's showing, we're going to go at least 91 laps, probably closer to 93 or 94. That means that this second run could get close to 50 laps for some of these drivers who have not brought it to pit road since the initial pit stop. Taking a look at it, the 13 of Brent Allen, who's currently scored in third, led 7 laps in this race, has not been to pit road since lap 45, and we're on lap 89 at this point. Also, same situation for Austin Dowdy in the 8 car. Neither of these guys have been leading super recently in this race, so hopefully they've been able to save some fuel. I think we'll probably get the one to go this next time. Owen Vanoy, Kendrick Hall, Brent Allen, Rodney Joyner, Austin Dowdy, your top 5. Mike Petrin, Dirk Likes, Frank Walsh, Joseph Terciano, Derek Nick Murchie, your top 10. Pace Carl Lights. Like they will go out. That is fantastic news. Long pace laps at this place, over 2 minutes long. It's been a wild one here from Daytona. We are into our final overtime event, or attempt rather. Be the 94 of Vanoy, 25 of Hom, Brent Allen, Joyner, and Dowdy, your top 5. With a shot at it, really any of these guys have a shot at the win. We'll see if we make it to the white flag. We didn't make it around the white flag last time. They wrecked going down into turn number 3. So it remains to be seen if we're going to be able to get this thing finished under green, or if it'll end up being a yellow flag, checkered flag. Always love to see things finish under green if possible, and I know it's possible. Whether or not these guys able to restrain themselves just a little bit longer till they get to the start-finish line and start that last lap. They won't even fully really be up to speed until we get to turn 4. That's difficulty. You take the momentum when you can get it. Sometimes that just takes you right up to the car in front of you. The closing rates can be much faster than expected. Owen Vanoy in control of the restart. Ronnie Joyner, the 00. In that 3rd position, or 14th position, Brent Allen in 3rd. So we'll see what those guys elect to do, if they just push somebody else to the finish, or if they're going to make their move. Good restart by the 94. 13 able to get alongside, so that's not going to allow the 25 to drop down in line. And they're going to have a full head of steam coming up behind the 94 machine, who's done a good job kind of maintaining that gap. And looking further back, we are getting close here in the middle of the field. I really hope that these guys can hold on. The 33 struggling on the bottom. That's Ruck Rigel at the front of the field, though. 3 wide down towards turn number 3. Just 2 more corners to go. Really tough task to go 3 wide. 30, or the 60 car rather, kind of shaken on the outside groove. They go 2 wide once again. Hopefully going to be able to make it down to the finish. The 13 and the 60 bang doors in the 3rd, or battle for 5th position rather. Coming to the white flag, Kendrick Hom and Dirk Likes. Cars sliding down through the grass, but white flag is in the air. They're slamming the wall in the tri-oval. We've got 7 cars under a blanket. Cars wrecking behind. 83 up in the air. Furciano gets turned. Big pile up in turn 1. Dirk Likes, the number 3 machine. We mentioned him early on. Was he just waiting to make his move? He's gotten to the front of the field. He's been almost nowhere, seemingly, in this one. As they race down towards turn number 3, side by side. The 25 of Kendrick Hom has dominated this race, has 2 more corners. They slam doors for 2nd. The 3 car trying to shut the door. Here comes the 94 of Owen Vanoy. 25 of Hom all by himself. It'll be Kendrick Hom through the tri-oval, taking the win here at Daytona. And crash for 3rd, as Owen Vanoy and Dirk Likes and Mike Petrin were all battling for the runner-up spot. But how about Kendrick Hom? Dominant in this race, leading 39 laps, taking the win. Nobody could contend with him at the end there. Made all the right moves all race long after starting in the 5th position. And we're going to go back and take a look at some of these crashes here. Trying to find a way to go back and take a look. So this was the battle for 2nd coming to the start-finish line. Lost it right there, but look at that battle for 2nd. And the 60 able to get it by 1/1000th of a second over Owen Vanoy. So really good job there to make the move at the right moment. Take that spot away, and big hit for Vanoy into the wall. Let's go back a little bit further down the backstretch, or rather, I think it was into turn 1. I think the 83, I believe, got turned. Yeah, big hit right there for Terciano, and the huge hit for the 31 of Mitchell Costner, who again led some laps early in this one. This is a big incident on the last lap, and the 9 car of Hop gets involved. The 84, the 12, the 83, the 8 machine. And 77 able to squeeze on through that. And actually, Zach White got a top 10 out of this race. Let's go back even further. There was another wreck at the start-finish line. Not sure who that involved. Might have been the 54. I think it was. Yeah, Walsh goes for a big slide up into the tri-oval. Gets slammed into by the 22 of Witherspoon. And then the 97 piled into that. Jeremy Burnz, the 33 of Ruckreigel. What a disaster end to the race for the 33, who was so good coming to the close of this one. But it is Kendrick Hom burning it down here at Daytona. Your race winner. We'll be right back to interview him and the rest of your top 3 in just a moment. And here comes Milo. Big run out of 4. He's going to be there.
Tristan Martin's there. Cannot count out to 37.
Oh!
Burned!
Cabot, where did he come from? Here comes Slack.
A punch from the 33.
It's a drag race.
The Magic Man wins it Auto Club.
Back at the racetrack now. Looks like we've got our second place finisher. That's going to be Mike Petrin. Let's see if we can pull him in. Hey, Mike, this is Adam in the V-Speed booth. You got a copy?
Yes, sir.
Well, man, you were right there in the running at the end. You're able to just get the second spot by 1/1000th over Owen, who finished third, but not quite close enough for the win. Was there anything you could have done there in that last lap to maybe make a different move and get up there and challenge for the win?
Only if I had a faster car. If I'd had more gas pedal, I could have. But I couldn't catch him. I couldn't get around him. I didn't have no help pushing me enough to make the good run.
Yeah, it was definitely a tough one there. Not a lot of help from anybody at the close of the race. But we go to Atlanta next week. How do you feel about going out there?
Oh, I love Atlanta. It's always been a good track for me. Now, in the Gen 4s, I don't know. I haven't practiced much there. But it'll still be a good race.
Yeah, it should be an exciting one. That is always a fun place to go. And these Gen 4 cars are definitely going to be a little bit of a wild card, but should be exciting to watch. But anybody you want to give a shout out to for the runner-up finish here tonight?
Oh, yeah. The whole Venom crew, and I want to thank the team QSR for putting on the shows in the league. They do an awesome job. V-Speed does a great job. Y'all just keep up the good work.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Mike. Great run here tonight, and we'll catch you in Atlanta.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. As Mike Petrin, second place finisher. I don't think we have our race winner in the Discord here, so we'll wait for a second, see if he ends up joining here. We'll run through the full running order, but that was Kendrick Hom, your race winner here tonight. Dominant performance, leads 39 laps and takes the win in the closing moments, holding off Mike Petrin, Owen Vanoy, Dirk Likes, and others to take that victory. Third place finisher was Owen Vanoy, who had a really good run as well. 20 laps led, the second most of anybody, and was up there in contention all night long. Started 6th, comes home in 3rd, just losing that spot to Mike Petrin by 1/1000th of a second. But it was a 3-wide finish for the second spot, and that is about as exciting as you can ask for at Daytona. Let's take a look at the rest of the results before we head on out for the evening. It was Kendrick Hom, your race winner in the 25 machine. Dominant performance, takes the victory here at Daytona. Mike Petrin finishing in the 2nd position. 3rd place tonight was Owen Vanoy. 4th was Dirk Likes. 5th, Ronnie Joyner. 6th, Patrick Hernandez. 7th was Brent Allen. 8th was Zach White. Quentin Stewart comes home in the 9th position, and Spencer Johnson rounds out the top 10. In 11th position, it was Joseph Terciano. 12th is Mitchell Kostner. 13th, Frank Walsh. 14th, Jeremy Burnz. 15th, Peter Hopp. 16th, Austin Dowdy. Christian Ruckreigel comes home in the 17th position after a really good close to the race, gone wrong. Ultimately, not the way he'd like to finish that one. Derek McMurchie comes home in 18th. Bryson Witherspoon finishes 19th. Chris Nail rounding out the top 20. In 21st, it was Matthew Huggins. 22nd, Wyatt Walker. And Ethan Wisnowski did not start the race. Going to be scored in the 23rd position here this evening. 4 cautions, 38 lead changes. And it was ultimately Kendrick Hom taking the win here at Daytona. We want to thank you so much for joining us. And we do have Kendrick in the booth. Kendrick, Adam, you got a copy?
Yes, sir. You got a copy on me?
Yes, I got you. Well, man, what a dominant race from your perspective. 39 laps led, and I'm sure it wasn't easy coming to the close there, having to survive 2 overtime restarts. But just describe tonight's race.
Oh, well, Adam, I kind of came in without the expectations sitting like that. I do love the Gen 4 car. I grew up with that being the car I knew my whole childhood. I just came in, wanted to keep a nice pace, try to stay mid-pack. I didn't want to be in the back in case, I had the advantage to get up front. Realized we were pretty fast early on. Had my teammate pushing behind me. At the end of the race, I got really nervous. I had a lot of guys behind me. I threw a bad block at the end, though, and thank goodness the 3 wasn't too upset, and we were able to come away with a victory.
Yeah, and they were 3 wide photo finish for the 2nd spot as you were out there running away with it, and you get the first win of the season. We go to Atlanta next week. How do you feel about going out there?
If it's the Classic Atlanta, like Classic Daytona, I cannot wait. I love the Classic Atlanta.
Yeah, that would definitely be the perfect combo with these Gen 4 machines, really just going back and fitting it right where it's supposed to go. This car is a lot of fun to watch, and you put on a show for us out there to take the win here tonight at Daytona. Is there anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, Forge Ironworks, Ari Bottriff, the owner, Beatman's Masonry, the Pink Mermaid, HBM Motorsports, as well as I want to thank my wife, and I also want to thank my grandfather. He would have tomorrow would be 15 years since he passed away, and I'm going to dedicate this win to him.
Awesome, Kendrick. Well, definitely a great cause there to dedicate that one to, and congrats on the win. A really dominant performance. And you put on a show for us here, holding all these guys off in the closing moments. So go celebrate, and we'll catch up with you at Atlanta.
You too. Thank you.
Thank you. That was Kendrick Hom, and that is your race winner here tonight. We do want to thank you for tuning in to V-Speed for tonight's event. We've got a lot of racing action on the channel throughout the week, so make sure to tune on in, and I believe we'll be back with the Atlanta race next week for the second race of the season. But Kendrick Hom is your race winner here from Daytona. And what a show coming to the finish we saw from these guys. Thank you for tuning in. Hope you enjoyed. And we will catch you all soon.